Alright, today we're going to talk about percent of change. Percent of change is the ratio of the change in an amount to the original amount. So we're comparing how much it changed versus the original amount. If the new number is larger than the original, is the new number greater than the original, then it's called a percent of increase, percent increase. If the new number is less than the original, then it's a percent decrease. Does that make sense? Alright, this is what your homework is going to look like. It's going to say determine whether each percent of change is a percent of increase or decrease, then find the percent of change. So what we do is they give us the original and the final. We take the change over the original and we solve for R. We solve for the percentage. Well, to find the change, what I do is I take the final minus the original, or the final minus the original. What is the final? 23. What is the original? 20. What is 23 minus 20? 3. Okay, that's the amount of change. The amount of change is the final minus the original. Now, I take that over the original. What is the original? 20. And here they want this to set up as proportions, so we're taking R, which would be your percent of change, over 100. Right. To solve anything like this, when it's written out like this, we have two proportions equal to each other, we cross multiply. So 3 times 100 equals 20R. We solve for R. I undo what's being done to R. I'm timesing by 20, so I divide by 20. 30 divided by 2 gives me 15. So R is equal to 15, or I can say it's a percent increase of 15%. So we're given the original 25, a final of 17. We take the change over the original. We times that, or we equal that to R over 100. The change is the final minus the original. Always take the final minus the original in that order. Final is 17. What is the original? So what is my change? -8. So that's my change. That goes up there. What's my original? 25. So I cross multiply. 25R is equal to -800. I look at what's being done to R. I'm timesing by 25, so I do the opposite. I divide by 25. I find that R goes into -800. 25 goes into -800 -32 times. So I could say my percent decrease is 32%. Now you can see why you always do final minus the original. Gage, if I had done original minus final, would I got a negative number? No. You wanted to do 25 minus 17, which would have got you 8. But if you plug in 8 here, all of a sudden you get a positive answer. And if you forgot that this was a decrease because it went from a larger number to a smaller number, then you're not going to know this is a negative percentage. Does that make sense? So that's why we do final minus original. Alright, so you're given an original of 500 and a final of 131. You have to figure out, you have to determine whether it's a percent of increase or percent of decrease. And then what is the percent increase or decrease? Well, to find my change, I take final minus the original. So 131 minus 500 gives me 369, right? Everybody agree? Is that what you got? Alright, good. So everyone got -369. That is my change over the original, which is 500. So I cross multiply. I have 500R is equal to -369 times 100, which is just going to be adding 2 zeros to that and getting negative 36,900. Divide that by 500. You can cancel those zeros out. R is this number right here. It is 73.8. So it's 73.8%. Something I forgot to do. It told you to do. Make sure you do it. It says determine whether it's a percent of increase or decrease. Is this an increase or a decrease? Decrease. So make sure you label that. Okay, it's a decrease. Because you would get a negative number there, get a negative percent, so make sure you label a decrease. Any questions? Alright, this is what some of your homework's going to see. These word problems. It says the number of cruise ships increased 18% from 2000 to 2005. If there were 192 ships in 2005, how many were there in 2000? So what it's doing is it's kind of asking out in a question out of order. We've been trying to solve for the percent. They give you that. They're asking for one of the numbers. Okay? Well, what I do is I'm going to set this up just like I have been. Change over the original. And then on my percent, which I know what my percent is. What's my percent? 18. Instead of writing that as R, I write 18. Because usually it's R over 100. That's when we're trying to find percent, which we know now. So what I do, right? Do I know what my original is? That's what I'm asking for, right? Right? Do I know what my change would be? Well, it'd be 192. Oh, that doesn't look very good. It's 192 minus, which we're going to call the original amount, O. Which would be how many ships there are in 2000, right? Now, let's not call it O. Let's call it X. 192 minus X. So what would be my original amount? And isn't X my original amount? Okay? Because I don't know how many were in 2000. Well, so that would be X. Right? So if I took 192 minus X, would that tell me how many ships were in 2000? Yes. As soon as I find out how many there were in 2000. So, I can cross multiply this, which gives me 192 minus X times 100, and that's equal to 18X. Well, how would I do 100 times 192 minus X if I can't subtract 192 and X? What would I do? I would distribute. Good. I'd take 100 times 192 and take 100 times X. 100 times 192 is 19,200. Just add 2 zeros. And then 100 times negative X is negative 100X. Everybody with me so far? Now I do just like we've been doing for the last couple weeks. I want to move the variable to the same side, so I move the smallest one, so I'm going to add 100X to both sides. That gives me 19,200 is equal to 118X. I look at what's being done to X. I want to do the opposite of it. Since I was times it by 118, I divide by 118. And so X, my number of ships, comes out to this. 163. It actually doesn't come out to 163. It's like 162.8 or something like that. But it's close enough. Could you have 0.8 of a ship? No. And see, I didn't know exactly what percentage. Okay, it just said it increased by 18%. That could have been like 17.8, and they just rounded. So since they rounded, I'm going to have to round. I couldn't have 0.8 of a ship, so I just rounded to 163 ships. Now, if I wanted to, I can plug in my numbers and see if that worked, but it does. All right, now this is a problem that you're going to see in everyday life. It says the total of groceries was $28.62 before tax. If tax is 7.25%, then what's the final cost? Right, when you're a little kid and you went to go buy a ball of pop, it said or a toy. It said toy was $5. Took that $5 to the cashier. Is that enough? No, you always got to figure in tax. As you're a little kid, you didn't understand tax. This is how you figure out tax and what the final cost is going to be. So this is what registers do when you go to the pay. I take $28.62, my what they call it, the total before the tax. Okay, they call it subtotal. You'll see that on receipts. And they times it by the tax, which is a percent. So I don't times it by 7.25. I actually have to move the decimal 2 times and make it a decimal, because it's a percentage, and you can't times by percentage. So I'm going to times that by 0.0725. When I do that, 0.0725 times 28.62, I get this, 2.07495. That's how much is going to be added to the total cost. Now, are you going to add all of that, or do we need to round somewhere? Okay, we need to round, but here's what you do. You always add before you round. So, well, okay, let's go ahead and round it. What would this round to? Well, actually it's 2.07. I need to round to this, right? Does this round up? No. So 207 is how much is in tax. I add that to my 28.62, my subtotal, and here's my total cost, $30.69. And there's my answer. It says if George pays $85 a month for insurance, how much will he pay if he's given a discount of 20%? Okay, if you have, like, let's say it's car insurance, let's say he's gone several years without hitting anything, without using it. So what they do is they give him a discount, like a good driver discount or something like that. So what we need to find out is how much he's going to pay if he's given a discount 20%. Well, the first thing I do is I find out how much they're going to take off. So what I do is I find out what 20% of $85 is. So I take $85 and I times it with not 20%, but I'm going to times it with 0.2 because I have to move the decimal 2 times. So I'm going to find out what 20% of 85 is by taking 85 times 0.2. 85 times 0.2 is 17. So 20% of $85 is 17. Is that how much he's going to pay, $17? No, that's how much is taken off, right? So what I do is I take 85 minus 17, and that tells me how much I'm actually going to pay, and that's $68. All right, here's your homework assignment.